All right. Back for another live video. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. Welcome here again. And today we're going to talk about something actually pretty interesting. Hopefully you enjoy it. This is the really true test of fluency. Most of the people who follow my channel actually want to communicate. It's okay for some people if they just want to understand movies or things like that. But if you want to speak, we're going to be talking about that in this video. So let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Hopefully everything is working well and we will get right into it. So again, as I mentioned in this video, we're going to be talking about fluency as we always do, but I want to get more specific. And the reason I want to talk about this is because over this past weekend, all right, so we do have the chat working. Over this past weekend, I was at a local park near my house with my family. I live in Nagasaki, Japan, and it's now election season. So it's an interesting thing in Japan. People drive around in little cars and they have loudspeakers and they're like, they try to say hi and hello and please, vote for me or whatever. So people are driving around. And one of the politicians came out of their car. So it was a guy, and he came out and started talking with us. This was a few of us sitting or just kind of playing with our kids at the park. And so he walked up and introduced himself, and he was speaking all in Japanese, so I understood what he was saying. But it was interesting, he didn't say anything to me in English. And the reason I thought that was strange is because after, he talked about making our town kind of more international. Again, he's talking all in Japanese, just talking to the different, the few of us that were in the park. But after he left, he gave us a brochure and we were reading that. And the first thing I saw listed about his accolades, so these are like the important things or his rewards or good points or whatever, was passing the highest level of the official Japanese test of English. This is the Eiken test. And he also had pictures of himself on the back of the brochure showing that he lived and studied in the United States for some time. So I thought that was very interesting. He said he wanted to make the place more international. There were only a few of us there, maybe 12 people, so some adults and some local kids as well. But he didn't try speaking to me at all in English. And that was a big part of his, who he was or his personality or his abilities or whatever. And so I thought, well, that was a perfect opportunity to show who he was. This is his time to shine. So time to shine, someone's time to shine means just like the sun. So you have your time to shine. So other people are watching you. You can do something amazing, but he didn't speak any English at all. So I thought that was very interesting. And I wanted to make this video really talking more about the difference between knowing a lot of English and actually being able to speak. Okay, I'll come back and check comments in a little bit, but sashiburi desu ne. Yeah, nice to see you there. Hopefully, I will come back and check comments in a minute, but I wanted to get right into this video. We're already a few minutes in, and we're going to cover two things because really the most important thing to remember if you want to become a fluent speaker is that fluency really measures how well you know the language. It's not how much you know, okay? So it's not how much grammar or how much vocabulary you know, it's how well you can use the vocabulary, all right? So we're gonna cover two things in this video. The first one is going to be depth, and then the second one is going to be precision. So often a lot of students, the kind of typical way people will learn the language, they will often begin with we'll just call this a T here for translation in their native language, and then they learn that thing in English. So often a Japanese learner will learn, they begin with a Japanese word and then do the English translation of that. But then they can't actually use that information in a conversation. So what we want to do is have you understand everything all in English and really develop a long and deep depth, a really deep understanding of the language rather than a very shallow understanding, which is just maybe having a translation or a definition of the word. So I'll come back and again in checking comments and things in a minute, but the first thing let's talk about is depth. Depth. So depth meaning how deep, how strong is your understanding. So rather than having, if we imagine like a pool of water here, the depth going from the surface of the water down here. So if you only know maybe one meaning of a word, or you can't really use it, you can't remember it, you can't recall it in conversations, you have a very shallow understanding of the word. But fluent speakers have a very deep understanding of the word, and that's how they're able to communicate so well. So they remember things well, they use them in interesting ways, and especially words that might seem like they're very basic. So I wanted to give one example of this when we're talking about depth, and we're going to use the word coat for that. So again, I'll try to, I know I get to talking and I start talking a lot, so I'll try to keep it short here. But we'll look at just, again, spell this correctly, C-O-A-T. Now, if you ask a child, even a native English-speaking child, what is a coat? What is a coat? They would probably tell you or probably describe, something like this. We got like a long sleeve thing. Often like the coat will go down kind of below the waist. So a jacket might be something like a lighter. A jacket might be for spring or for fall weather, but a coat is maybe something thicker for winter. Okay, so this is a very beginning, basic understanding of the word coat. The camera is blurry. It shouldn't be blurry. It should be okay. Let me know if anybody's having issues with the camera. It looks fine to me. I don't know, maybe if you're shaking your camera or something. But my camera is stationary. Let me know if, let me know in the chat if it's not coming through, if you're not getting sound correctly or video correctly. It looks fine to me though. So anyway, if you look at the beginning, if you're trying to learn the word coat, you will just, again, maybe see something like that. Again, there might be different kinds of coats. But again, we want to go deeper than this, because as even young children, as they learn more English and they spend more time with the language, they develop a deeper understanding of it. So we can go from a beginning to a more kind of a deeper, or I guess a more, well, I guess deeper is just the best way to describe it, but a deeper understanding of coat. It's the same word, but we can talk about the coat on like this. Like I have like a coat of fur, a coat of hair all over my, well, actually not all over my body, but really on my arms. My arms are, like, people in Japan, actually, sometimes they touch my arms. They're very curious about, wow, like, look at all that hair. I have a coat, like a coat of hair. Or you can talk about an animal having a coat of fur. The same idea. But notice as we move from here to here, again, when children talk about a coat, they think about like the definition of the word. Okay, we mean a jacket. Your mom says, hey, put your coat on, or put on your coat. So put your coat on or put on your coat if you're going outside. And kids understand, they connect this word with this thing. But as they learn more, they're deepening their understanding of the word. And so, they learn coat. It doesn't just mean this physical thing. It's really talking about covering something in like a strong way. Okay? So yes. So again, Edson's got the idea. So a coat is kind of like a skin. It's like a covering of something. So I have like a coat of skin on me. In the same way, we might have a coat of paint. Or we could have a coat of gold. We can also talk about a coating. A coating of something. All right, listen carefully to how this blends here. We got and this is an American English pronunciation, coding. Coding. It sounds like the word coding, like I'm coding a program on a computer. But it's the same idea. Coat becomes coding. Coding. All right? So if I'm coating something, it means I'm covering it in the same way that I would coat my body with a coat. Okay? All right? Does that make sense? So as we move from a basic understanding of something, usually we begin with just connecting one word with one idea or one thing. And so a child, again, we have a word like coat, and they would hear this many times. So, put on your coat, put your coat on. It's cold outside, you should wear a coat. Okay? And so as we hear more examples, the child's understanding deepens, and they understand, we don't just mean like a physical kind of clothing. We're talking about covering yourself, and covering yourself pretty well. Okay? And so we can even take this to a higher level, an even deeper level, where we talk about maybe sugarcoating something. So if you imagine like some medicine or a pill, we'll draw our little pill right here, or you might have try to draw this. So these are like a tablet or a pill, some medicine that you might take. Often the medicine might not taste very good. Maybe it has some kind of flavor on it. So the pill will be sugar coated. Sugar, so sugar coated. So you can have a sugar-coated pill. And in this way, we often talk about not sugar-coating something. So you can also sugarcoat the truth. So some people, as an example, maybe I want to tell someone, I don't really like their fashion or something like that. So someone says, hey, do you like my jacket? And I say, oh yeah, it's pretty nice. I'm kind of sugarcoating my words a little bit. All right, so I'm not giving them like the real truth. I'm putting a little bit of sugar around my words. Okay, so this is just one example of how we can take something basic like this, like coat, bring it to a deeper understanding, and then even deeper understanding as we use more words and expressions. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So this is just one way that we're covering fluency by depth. So you can tell really how fluent you are by how much depth you have and how much use you have with your vocabulary. So if you only know this very surface level one, where you know maybe so a cake has a chocolate coating, excellent example, same thing. All right, so again, we're covering something like that. There's a coating of snow, there's a coating of chocolate, there's a coating of fruit or whatever, something like that. But again, we're deepening our understanding, and as you learn these things, so coat is just one example I wanted to share, but as you learn these things, you will feel your fluency developing automatically. You will actually feel that. Your brain will be like, so you can also use it that way. Isn't that interesting? Okay? So this is talking about depth, and now I'll give one more example where we're talking about precision. Precision means how accurate you are when you speak. So if you want to describe maybe your feelings or how you like something or don't like something, we'll talk about that in just a moment. But let me go back and look at comments. Looks like we got a bunch of comments over here. I'll try not to get stuck on these too long, but let's see. All right, so people can hear me loud and clear. Nice to see everybody. It's a pleasure watching you, nice and clear from Korea. Good to see you there. Looks like we got people from all over the place. From Japan, we got no. Yes, I'm happy to see actually more people from Japan watching my videos. I have like one of the top 300 channels in Japan on YouTube, and almost no Japanese people watch me. So it's nice. People don't think I'm famous out here. I can just like walk around. We are all your fans, mate. Glad to hear it. Nice to see you here. Got some flowers. What's the difference between can, tell, and I don't know what that means. Ask me again. And realize? Is that what you mean? Can tell and realize? You mean like you notice something, you see something. Ralphie, you're asking like what's the difference between I realize something and I can tell? Yeah, that would basically be the same thing. And again, I often in this same idea, I don't want to give just like a surface answer for something, because often there will be words where sometimes the meaning is the same, sometimes the meaning is different. So it's better to just get lots of examples, just like I'm doing here. So as I give you more examples, you naturally develop a much better understanding, a stronger and deeper understanding of the language, and that's what makes you feel much more confident. So you could say in a situation, I can tell, like I notice something. Usually I see something. Like I can tell it's raining because I look outside. So usually realize is maybe a stronger, deeper kind of word where you kind of discover something. So even if you don't see it, usually tell something is it's more about visual understanding, but not always. All right. But again, this is why we get lots of examples of things. And I don't want to spend too much time in one video going through a whole bunch of different examples for one example. All right. So everything, it looks like we got people coming in. Kazakhstan, Peru, Japan. Asina says, what time is it in Japan? It is, what time is it? 10:30 a.m. All right, at last I can get to your stream. Thank you for helping us to learn English. Yes, it's my pleasure. All right, making sure I don't skip all of these over here. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Fernando says, hello world, says I am sleepy from Brazil. Hey, in an interview, I think I said very bad the concept of focus. And after I think I said focus and laughing, I guess that means. Can you give me a tip for good pronunciation of focus? Focus. If you want pronunciation, specifically me giving you pronunciation of over 2,000 words, get Frederick. You can find the link in the description for that below this video. All right, nice to see you. You are shining, glad to hear it. All right, we got Muhammad Great over here. All right. Let's see here. Well, Madane. All right, hi teacher. Is this stream will be uploaded as a video? Yes, I share all these streams. All right, good greetings from Latin America. Said this is at least I can get. Oh, okay, so I read that one already. All right, hello from Peru. Okay, everybody's looking good. I'm like going back in time as I read through these comments over here. Yes, so fur. Yes, so some people, actually Japanese people, like, wow, they're like, look at all that fur you have over here. Pardon me as we have an ambulance coming through. All right, we got everybody talking about their different, let's see. So Lewis says, I do not find the cash symbols to send you a present for all that I've learned from your classes. Oh, it's my pleasure to help people learn. But if you would like to send some actual cash, you can certainly join our programs or recommend other people do. All right, let's see. Hi, Drew, and everybody from Brazil. It's a long time no see. All right, got lots of hands up. Bolivia is a wonderful country. I strongly recommend you visit it. All right, and this is another thing, like my wife will make this mistake in English sometimes, like I strongly recommend you to do something. We just say, I strongly recommend you do something. So I recommend you visit. I recommend you go. I recommend you listen. You don't have to put the to in there. All right, please talk about your courses. What would you specifically like to know? I can mention more about those if people like. All right, I love your pronunciation, so clear and easy to understand. Yes, and again, if you'd like to learn how to pronounce words the same way I do, you should get Frederick. You can find that in the link below. All right, Suresh, where were you? And I were waiting for you so much. Happy to see you again. I have a question for you. Can you please tell me what I can do for speaking? Well, this video is all about speaking, just like all of my videos are really about speaking. And this is one example of getting more depth. Most people do not have very much depth, and this is why they have trouble communicating. So they think they know something, but they just have a very surface level of it. And you don't really make that connection. Like if I say, like, don't sugarcoat that, and people might think, wait a minute, I thought coat meant like a thing you wear on your body like that. But only as you get more and more examples do you really develop a strong understanding of what the word means. Yes, so there will be a recording of this, because I feel I can understand speaker pretty well, but I can't speak. Yes. So the main reason that most people understand but can't speak is they don't have a very good depth of knowledge of English. So they think they know something, but really they don't. And so that's the point of this video. So the true test, just like that politician that came up to me and my family, he said in his little brochure that he can speak English, that he knows English, that he has actually like a certification for an English test at the highest level, but he didn't even say hello in English. So I thought that was just like a wasted opportunity. That was his time to use his English, but he did not. So either he was just feeling very shy or whatever, but that would have been a good time to speak. All right. Hello, Professor. Studying English for 1 year improved my listening from Brazil. Glad to hear. Anne says, can you please give me an advice? And again, for the word advice, we can just say, please give me advice. So advice is uncountable. If you want to talk about one thing, we would say a piece of advice. Give me a piece of advice about this. But it's much faster to just say, give me some advice about this. About how I can speak fluency or how I can develop my conversation. So that's exactly what this is. This is one part of that. So in this video, we're talking about depth and we're talking about precision, which I'll cover in just a moment. Do you know that you are amazing? Well, I'm happy to hear that. I was glad to hear. Let's see. Good morning. Thanks for your response. I love you. What, Tokyo Skytree? Wow, there's someone has a name. Either maybe is that the actual Tokyo Skytree following me? That would be pretty cool. Well, I love you too. Glad to hear it. Hello from New York. First time. Let's see. Tokyo Skytree. Every day I listen to your live lessons over and over. Make sure the right way of learning English, and then listen to your lovely, wonderful American English. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Are you from Tokyo, or in Japan at all, or you just like Tokyo Skytree? Hello from Argentina. Eritrea recommended you visit. Yes, so I recommend you visit. Yeah. Hello, everyone, and hello, teacher. How are you doing? I'm doing well. Hello, first time enjoying your class. Glad to hear it. Talking to myself can improve my fluency. Tadeo. It can, but it's much better if you can spend more time getting input, just like I'm doing here. So if you get 30 minutes of just learning like lots of different uses of coat, you will actually build more fluency for talking about anything you like, because you will know at least this word fluently. And so instead of trying to repeat things to yourself, it's much better to just get more input. All right, that's really like the fastest way to build fluency. All right, I think we're getting to the bottom of these over here. Hello, everyone. All right, so nice to see you. All right, got that. All right. I would like to join your course. Well, you can click on the link in the description to learn more about Fluent for Life, if you would. I do like your channel, and I recommend to your student. Glad to hear it, Wilson. Thank you very much. All right, what do you mean by depth? So depth is like, again, how deep you go. So if you jump into a pool, you could be at the top of the water. That's called the surface. Or you could go deeper and deeper. That's the depth. So your depth of understanding, that's another good example of like the depth between something physical and also the depth of your knowledge. So you can talk about how much you know and how well you know that information. Okay, so Tokyo Skytree is Japanese. I love you speaking proficient, understanding Japanese as well. Yokatta ne. Sugoi ne. Yoku kakeru ne. I'm Japanese and I love you speaking proficient, outstanding Japanese as well. Mo gambaranakia. I gotta improve my understanding of Japanese as well. And also, so I have 2 children now. Shogaku 2年生も今日始まったね。Shogaku 2年生になった。So my older daughter just started 2nd year of elementary school, and my younger daughter is a 2nd year in kindergarten, and their Japanese is like already better than mine. So I have to keep practicing to make sure they don't beat me. All right, Ahmed says, what is the best way to increase vocabulary? So remember, this is the exact point I'm making right here in this video. The idea is not to learn more vocabulary, it's to really understand this vocabulary well. So as you see, even with one word, we have lots of different meanings of it that are related. And this is it's just one example of a word where these are slightly related meanings that really help you understand the word. But many words actually have completely different meanings. And each one of those things you can learn more about. So the goal is not to know more, it's to know better, to know deeper about the language. All right, let's see. Hello from Poland, Tadeusz, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Kent Clark, how do native speakers think of grammar and form sentences quickly when speaking? Well, the secret is, Kent, that they're not thinking about grammar at all. If you ask a native English speaker, especially a speaker who is not an English teacher, if you say, hey, can you give me an example of the past perfect or the present, whatever, even the present simple. If you just like find a random person on the street, I should do a video like that, just asking random people, hey, what's an example of the present perfect? And most people would not be able to tell you what that is. So they're not telling you about grammar rules, and they don't know the names of grammar rules, and they can't give you an example of a grammar rule, most people. But the interesting thing is, if you ask people like what something means, the first thing they're going to think of is, when would I use that? When would I use that? So if I ask someone like, hey, what's a coat? Usually they would just describe, oh, like, a big thick jacket that you wear in the wintertime. So they're going to talk about when you use something or when you hear something. And the same thing with adjectives or grammar for like verbs or whatever. But they're looking for when you use something. So natives aren't thinking first about the grammar. They're thinking about the vocabulary and what situations they learn that in. So remember, what often, like the kind of English as a second language approach, this is where you take something in your native language. So I'll just use Japanese as an example. We're going to translate something. We've got a T here for translate into the English word over here. So I'm going from Japanese into English, and I don't have any depth of understanding. I'm really just trying to connect a word in Japanese with a word in English. And this is what most people are doing. It doesn't matter if it's German, French, Italian, whatever, Taiwanese or something. Whatever the language is, people are just trying to make a connection between two different languages. But I just showed you with the depth example that we're trying to do. So this is the English as a second language approach. So what I do, the English as a first language, and this is what native speakers are doing. So the English as a first language approach is where we're taking something like a situation. So like the situation might be a physical, like the physical coat, and then we connect that with the vocabulary. So it's all done in English, all right? And then we're getting the depth. We're getting like way more deeper understanding of that here. So this is why people are able to speak. They're able to understand things because they're just making lots of connections, and they're using that as a way to build fluency. And the great news is that you can do the same thing. So as we just proved with the coat example, that's all we're doing in this video. So we're looking at not trying to translate a word in, Spanish to English. We're looking at what is the thing, and then what is the vocabulary for describing that. So it could be a physical object, like this is a marker, or we could be talking about a situation, like even voting in an election, something like that. So we talk about specific things, and we have a situation that we're connecting with the vocabulary, but it's all done in English, all right? So this is how you're actually able to learn a lot more, and the key really here that I just showed with the depth of understanding is that you focus on a particular word or phrase and really understand that thing. So what we do in Fluent for Life, we actually have a bunch of different things that we teach you, but really the goal of the program is to help you have good conversations. So you're going to see a lot of the same kinds of things, like what happens when a person doesn't know what to say, or what happens, so what do we say when we're angry, or we're upset, or we're disagreeing with someone, or we're excited. So these are the same things that a child would learn if they're looking at their parents. Every day they see their parents, like, my mom is on the phone right now. She looks upset, but I can hear her words. She's like, oh no, what's going on? What's wrong with that? And then like kids are watching that, and they can see, oh, there's actually like an issue with her, whatever that situation is, but they can hear the vocabulary. So they're connecting the situation with the words, okay? They're not trying to translate from one language into another. All right. So hopefully I'll give another example as I go through these as well. All right, but hopefully that makes sense. All right. Okay, so from Poland. Hello, dude. Thanks for your teaching videos. You're one of the best. I'm glad to hear it. Why don't you share some idioms as before? Some idioms about what? What do you mean, share some idioms? The point of this video also is really to take something that people think is basic, because occasionally I will get learners that tell me, like, oh, I don't, like, your lessons are like too easy because you're covering basic words. It's like, what do you mean? To sugarcoat something? Would you know how to use that expression? Most learners would not. And that's something that they learn over time if you spend enough time with the language. So the point is not to just repeat the vocabulary again and again. It's to really understand the deeper meanings of things, so that way you're learning and thinking about it the same way a native does. So when you think like a native, you will speak like one. The goal is not to try to remember vocabulary or grammar, so you don't want to have a flashcard like, okay, what's that vocabulary word? It's much better to get a bunch of review, the varied review, what I call naturally varied review, just like we covered here with the word coat. All right, so you don't try to memorize things or repeat them. You want to get varied review. So that builds your fluency the same way natives do. All right, and hopefully, okay, so I answered that question. Claudia says, I'm from Uruguay. Nice barbecue here. Ooh, well, I'll have to come over and get some barbecue. I think, all right, so may talk about your course. Yeah, I can talk about, I'll talk about Fluent for Life at the end of this. Dunia, I understand the language, but I can't speak it because I don't know how to tie sentences. Yeah, so again, really the answer to every question people have is more depth and understanding of the language. And the way you get that is with naturally varied review. Oh, es el fondo, depth, yeah. So again, we don't want to translate though. The point for me is to help you understand it, just like we're looking at a pool. Here's a pool of water. So how deep is the pool? So we can measure it, like here's the width. Here's like the height of it. We can talk about the height of the pool, or we can also talk about, because there's water inside a thing, the depth. The depth. So we have the width of the pool and the depth of the pool. But notice as we get more examples, you feel more like a native speaker because you're understanding it all in English. All right. All right. Okay, Brazilians love their classes. I don't know what that's referring to, but Hakan says, thanks to you, my thinking way of English has changed positively. I feel more confident when I speak English with someone. Great, that's the whole point. That's what we do. Have I ever been to India, says Gensham. No, I have not, but I'd like to go. Let's see, D. Wade. I understand you very well, but I have difficulty to understand people in street language. Yes, so what we do here in these videos is I'm really trying to make it clear about how to learn. So something we do in Fluent for Life is we're going to take you from speech at my level, so I'm speaking very clearly. I'm not using a lot of idioms or slang or other things that I might use in a conversation. So we take you from this level up to the native one by helping you understand real conversations and actual native speakers. Oh no, another, of course we get an ambulance or a fire engine or something over here. All right, Nay says, could you explain the difference between the sounds of, okay. Yeah, if you want to hear like the difference between that, get Frederick. Go in the description below this video, download the app because it covers all these sounds. Rosie Wu, could you please kindly suggest how to improve English at work? Because I'm currently remote supply at a global company from China. What do you mean specifically? Like if you mean like learning more vocabulary, or you're trying to learn for like the specific vocabulary you need for work or talking with coworkers, or what? If you can be more specific about that, let me know. But my general advice for how to improve is really to spend more time focusing on the specific English you need for your life, whatever that is. So I made a video recently, the espresso video. It's a naturally varied review example where we're talking about the vocabulary that people would use for making espresso. And as we watch 4 different videos of people doing this, you're automatically improving your fluency because you're hearing lots of people do this. So the more input you get, that's going to help you really feel confident in situations. So if you watch, movies about people, I don't know, like in meetings or whatever, if that's the video or if that's the specific vocabulary you need, but let me know. Wilson says, your channel is excellent. Glad to hear it. Ahmed saying, thanks for your help. Would love to see you here in Morocco. Yeah, I've actually never been to Africa. I think it would be cool to visit. So I struggle with that English language, has a lot of meanings of words, and I'm not sure if I use the correct one. Yeah, so that's another thing. As you spend more time with vocabulary, you naturally develop a strong understanding of what words you should be using or what meaning is correct for that situation. So it's okay to communicate simply, and it's better to be correct and be simple than to try to use something that maybe like the vocabulary or the grammar sounds weird. So often we will get emails or comments from learners where they have basic mistakes, so basic grammar errors in their writing, but they will have like an interesting phrase or something like that. So it's like, okay, it looks like they've been studying some interesting phrases, but they still can't use the language correctly. So it's much better to just communicate simply and correctly, and then start adding more examples of interesting vocabulary as you learn, more things like that. But always begin, you want to make sure the foundation of your vocabulary and grammar should be very good. Then you start adding more things. People are always very excited to start learning more advanced stuff, but as I just showed you, you can have even a word that seems basic, like coat. It seems basic, but actually you can look at that word and study it in depth, and you understand, wow, that word is actually more advanced than I thought. Okay, so don't look at vocabulary and think, oh, well, that's just a basic word. I know that already. You probably don't. You probably could understand it more. And again, that's really what's going to help you learn it and really use it confidently in conversations. All right, let's see. Hello from Turkey. I have a weird question. It is out of speaking topic. How can we understand the difference between night and night words? Both of them are the same to say. Yes, so these are called homonyms. So these are words that have the same sound. Homonym, homo meaning like same sound. So if we listen to words like that just by themselves, then there's no way to tell the difference. If I say, hey, night, a native speaker would hear that word, but they don't know if I'm talking about like day and night or a night, like a fighting soldier night. So the only way to know is just to have more context for that. But if you'd like to hear things like night and understand the differences between words that sound similar, so not the same words, but they actually sound similar, and you'd like to learn more things, this is again in Frederick, which you can click on the link in the description below to download. So we have examples in Frederick where we have things like hair and hair. So both of these are the exact same word. So this is like a magic E word, or people call it like a bossy E or silent E. So hair. So hair is a kind of rabbit, and this hair is the hair on your head. Okay. So it's easy to, natives will not understand those words either, but if you do get lots of examples of things, it makes it a lot easier. And usually it's just the context that helps you understand what's what. Okay, again, I often have problems with more subtle parts of speech like determiners. So determiners can be tricky, or some adjectives or some adverbs like even, when putting them in a sentence. Oftentimes I'd mess up the order slightly. Yes, can't. So this just means you're not getting enough input. So rather than trying to speak more, it should be like really exciting advice for people, because you don't have to go out and try to speak and try to use these things. Really what you should be doing is relaxing and just getting lots more input. So if you have a particular thing that you want to focus on, then focus on that and just get lots more examples of that input. All right, so you could go to Google and even just do a very simple search for like examples with this word, and Google will give you lots of examples. You can read 10 different articles that are talking about that, and I'm not talking about like a language learning site where you would try to study it like a linguist or a language student. You're just looking at lots of regular examples of it. Like for me, like one thing I had trouble with was like in Japanese, the difference between like made and made ni. So this again, it's just a Japanese example, but it took me a while to figure out like what it means. And even if I look at a translation or something, it's not so helpful. But if I can look at lots of examples, after I look at a number of examples, that's where I really start feeling confident. It's like, okay, I understand. So I'm doing it all in Japanese, just like you would be learning all in English for this. So focus on one thing, and then you will become much more fluent in that. All right. Okay, next we have Brittany. I have two questions. What does ain't mean, and how to use though? Well, though is like It's like but, basically. But ain't is just, it's incorrect English, but it just means is not. And that's one thing you will hear if you look up a word like that, like what does this word mean, or get lots of examples and you will hear what that means. All right, teacher, you are amazing. Claudine, glad to hear it. And Daniel from Egypt. Tadeo says, could you please talk about slang and how to get used with that informal phrases used by natives in their country? All right, so as I just explained before about the different uses of the word coat. So what happens, remember this example over here, we have a situation and vocabulary. Now slang just means vocabulary that only like a subgroup of people would know. So if we have this is like the whole population of English speakers, most people know the word the. I mean, really everybody who's an English speaker, especially native, would know the word the. But there might be some smaller group of people here that only knows specific vocabulary like slang or idioms or something. And so one example we had in my video 2 days ago, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago here on YouTube, a live video, we were talking about car. So I drew a picture. And I'll try to draw it a little bit better. So this is a car, supposed to be a car. Here's some wheels down here. And so if let's say I'm talking to my child and I say, oh, like I like that car. I like that car. And now they might hear like, okay, they know the word like and car, and I'm talking about a car over there, so I like that car. The child understands the situation, they understand what I'm talking about, and they're understanding it without me translating anything. So I'm not saying like, ano kuruma ga suki, like in Japanese or whatever. So I'm giving an example, it's all in English and it's understandable. And if I switch this now by adding something different like some slang, like, ooh, like I like that whip. And I didn't change anything else about this, like the situation. I'm still talking about the same thing. The child would probably guess. The first time you hear something, remember it's like trying to hit a target. The first time you hear vocabulary, your brain is trying to understand what something means, and it's like, okay, maybe it means this, and maybe it means that. And each time you get another example of something, you finally get to the target in the middle here, where you really understand what something means. So I say, ooh, look at that whip. Like, I like that whip over there. Now, whip is a slang term for car, okay? And again, like an old person, an 80-year-old person would probably not know what a whip is. And again, they would think, like if you say, look at that whip, they would think you mean like, you know, like a whip, like Indiana Jones whip, that kind of whip, like the weapon. But this is how you would learn it. So the goal is, again, to understand it in context, and you're kind of replacing the regular word with a slang word or a slang term. Something like that. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. So the goal is not to try to like study the word whip by itself. It's like I do in that naturally varied review video about espresso. So in that video, you will see 4 different people making espresso. They're doing the same thing, so that's the situation. The situation is making espresso and doing it in English, and some of the vocabulary they will use will be different. All right, so one example they have from that video, if you go back and watch it, there's like a part of an espresso machine, and you have to take a filter and you place it inside this little thing. I'm not going to draw it very well. You should watch that video so you can see it. But there are different ways of describing this. So I can talk about place the filter in the machine like this. So place the filter in and then turn it. All right. But another person said pop it in. Pop the filter in. All right. So again, they're talking, it's the same situation, but they're using different vocabulary for that. So natives are learning the same way. So natives take a situation, oh, my dad said place this thing in that. So place the marker in the cap. Place the marker in the cap. Okay? Or I could pop it in. It's the same thing. Okay? Same thing. But this is how people are learning vocabulary all in their native language. This is how you learn in your native language. So when you learn new vocabulary, and new vocabulary is created all the time, maybe there's something new in the news, and you hear like some new word, like, oh, I didn't know about that, like an NFT. I think this is, it's like non-fungible token or whatever it stands for. But this is a new thing that like 3 years ago, nobody was talking about NFTs. But now it's a common thing because people heard it once, again, another time, and they hear it from different people. And that's how you learn the vocabulary. But you're not trying to translate anything. You're just getting lots of examples, and they're varied examples. So different people are saying things. You're hearing it in different accents, in different times. You're getting different grammar. So maybe someone is using it in the past or the present, something like that. So that's how you get all these different examples. All right. We're getting too many questions. I can't go on to the next part of this video. All right, let's see here. Okay, I think I got that. All right. But hopefully, Tadeo, let me know if that makes sense. Claudini, Brazil, sir, let's see. Niraj says, how many active vocabulary need for being fluent? Okay, as I just showed in this video, the number of words is not, the number of words you know has very little to do with how well you speak. So young children might know a few words, but they know them really well. That's the whole point of this video. So it's not how much vocabulary you know, it's how well you know the vocabulary. All right, so you don't become fluent by learning more. You become fluent by getting deeper in the vocabulary you know, and only then should you try learning more stuff. Eric English, I'm just joining in the middle of the streaming. Can you re-say the main point you're talking about in this video? But my question, I'm thinking recently about doing a YouTube channel teaching things. Okay, well, the basic point of this video is that it's better to learn more deeply. So to really understand vocabulary, that's how you unlock fluency. You don't get fluent by learning more. And hopefully people should be discovering this for themselves, but most people do not. What they think is, if I know 100 more words or even 10 or 20 more words, then I will become a fluent speaker. But it doesn't work that way. Fluency develops as you get fluent in specific vocabulary. So you learn a situation, like putting a filter into a machine, and then you hear how different people describe that. And that's when you feel confident about understanding people, and you also feel more confident about using your own vocabulary. All right. So Eric English again, let's see. Can you recommend something to begin with? Thanks, Drew. Well, I don't know. You mean like making a channel about teaching English or something? Let me know. Abby says, does one always put one's tongue out for voiced and unvoiced TH sound? How does one get one's ears trained to hear the real sound of TH? Again, just like all the other examples I'm giving you, it's lots of examples. So you can hear this in Frederick. You can hear all the different examples of TH and when you would make those. But if also you just watch people talking about things, like look for a word that has TH in it and put that into Google, and then you can hear people talking about that thing. So even me, when I'm saying that thing, so one is voiced and the other is not. Hi everyone. Oh my God, I have many questions actually, like what's the difference between weather and if? Yeah. Yeah, so we cover like all of those things about grammar questions. You can search our YouTube channel for that, and also in Fluent for Life, we cover all that stuff. So we have 100 different lesson sets that cover present perfect, continuous, past, that have lots of different speakers, teach you thousands of vocabulary words, but it's helping you understand it like a native. That's the point of the program. Again, Sham says, one thing that is very helpful for me is choose whatever topic we like to watch, choose different people on the same topic. Yes. Again, that's naturally varied review. Brittany, again, thank you for the answer. Hater says, I have a question. Sometimes I speak fluently and sometimes I don't. Like one day I will speak fluently, other why that happens. Part of that is just the natural everyday, it's kind of like the stock market. Like sometimes the stock goes well and sometimes the stock does not go well. But more typically, the reason is because you're fluent in some things but not fluent in others. So I might talk very well about, I don't know, raising a pet alligator, but not talk well about rebuilding a car, you know. So it's not, I don't have fluency in the language, I have fluency in particular vocabulary and grammar, all right? Remember that. Maria says, hola. Okay, nice to see you there, Maria. All right, so Kent, again, thanks a bunch. Probably my last question now. How would you recommend people to go about learning phrasal verbs and collocations or idioms? I usually have to learn them by heart, but no logic derived at all. You should look up our visual guide to phrasal verbs. If you go to actually right here on YouTube, you can search for phrasal verbs with run. I think we have 2 sample videos from the program right here on YouTube, but I take you through my 3-step process for learning them. So this is the same way I teach my children phrasal verbs. And so you can actually see how that works. It's very logical, it's very simple, and it's very fast. Brittany says, where am I from? I really like your accent. So I'm from Chicago, and I intentionally speak in a kind of general, clear way for people to understand. Marion says, true, I know a bunch of words, but can't use them on a daily basis. They don't come to my mind. Yes. So as I often give this example for learners. So what's happening here, we've got, this is time, and we could actually put vocabulary here as well. And then we have F over here for level of fluency. What's happening is over time, natives are very quickly building fluency, but learners are kind of stuck like this because they continue to learn more, but they actually don't get depth in their vocabulary. So they're trying to learn, ooh, it's a new word, but they're missing the deeper, more interesting opportunity to learn like, ooh, here's a new use of that word. Here's another new use of that word. And as you get these different uses, as you understand these, then your fluency accelerates. So your learning ability, and again, this is why learners, like young kids, you could have like, in 4 years, and it can be much faster like this for adults if you start learning the native way like I teach people to do. But this is why you have this, what I call here, this is the fluency gap. The fluency gap, the space between where people are and where they should be. All right. And it's not because they live in, non-English speaking countries or whatever. It's just because they don't spend more time learning the vocabulary and really knowing it well. That's really it. So I spend a lot of my videos like kind of talking about this same problem in different ways. All right. Dana from Dubai. Nice to see you there. Charlie, hello. This is my first time watching you live. I love your lessons. Glad to hear it. If you know other people who would benefit from them, please recommend us. Brittany, this is a golden opportunity. Your classes are utterly fantastic. Very good. Glad to hear it. Again, recommend us. Tell other people, hey, you got to watch Drew's videos if you want to become fluent. I want to learn English, but I don't know where I'll ever be. I don't know what that means. Yes, teaching English for Vietnamese. So I would be careful about that. Again, like, if you look on YouTube for people teaching language, there are a couple different kinds of teachers. So there is the country-specific person who will, like, let's say I don't know, if I speak English sometimes but use Japanese in my videos a lot to teach only Japanese people. There are people who do that. So they could be native Japanese or foreigners or somebody who knows the Japanese language really well. The problem is you can teach the language, but there's a difference between teaching a language and helping people really understand it so they get fluent. All right. So you have to think about what you want to do. And even just like from like a channel like business side, it's easy to make more content where you just like, here are 10 more phrases or here are like 10, things like that. And so you will see a lot of that. This is both teaching English in English and also people teaching English through a different language. But really teaching it through a different language is the worst thing you can do if you want to help people speak. Now, again, not everybody needs to speak. Some people don't care about doing that or they just need to pass a test. That's fine. But really, even for passing a test, you should be learning much faster the native way anyway. So I don't know why everyone wouldn't do that. But the point of my channel is to make it so that anybody, that's why we call it English Anyone. The point is to have anyone be able to learn the language. Most of the videos are at a higher level, and that's why I created Frederick as well, so people could start learning English in English from absolute beginning. All right. Let's see. And Daniel again. Wait a minute. Did I skip somebody? All right. Oh, okay. Yes. All right. All right. So Tadeo says, thank you. I get it all. Immerse myself on English content. So you immerse yourself in. So remember, just like you put yourself inside something to immerse yourself in the content. So I'll be able to stop thinking in Spanish and stop translating. Yeah, so I totally understand. You're an excellent teacher. Glad to hear it. Yes, just do in English what you do in Spanish for learning Spanish. So this is not a complicated thing. I'm not teaching you like a secret new strategy for learning English. It's just telling people, hey, it's okay to learn English in English. That's what you should do, just like you learn Spanish in Spanish. Glenna says, hi, Drew. Nice to see you there. And Hater again, thank you for the way you teach us outstanding. Tell me my problem in 10 seconds. Okay. Glad to hear it. Yes, I've been doing this a long time. Daniel says, last time I watched your video, I hear ambulance and it is just accidentally, or you're live close by a hospital. By the way, how do I, now I can side, yes, I know what ambulance means. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes, so you just learned ambulance in context. Very good. Yes, so I am not, the room I am in is not soundproof. Unfortunately, it's pretty quiet, but it's not soundproof. And I'm downtown, in downtown Nagasaki. And so there are, I'm not like by actually there is a fire station a few blocks away, but there are a lot of old people around here. And so, you know, maybe they need help or something. All right, Daniela, hello, dear friends. I'm from Brazil, and my husband is from Poland. That's interesting. But he's been living in Chicago for 30 years. Yeah, there's actually a lot of Polish people in Chicago. Applying for a spouse visa soon. I'll be there. Enjoy. Good luck. He says, I'm from India. In your opinion, what is the most common mistake made by Indians when speaking English? I would imagine it's the same mistake that everybody else makes, where they're trying to learn more without trying to go deep. That's the number one problem that most people make. And now I'll explain very quickly why this happens. So why do people continue doing this instead of doing this? So they're going this way. They're trying to get more vocabulary instead of really understand it deeply. The answer is because the brain is naturally attracted to new information. So like you walk into a party, you want to know what's new, who's new, what's going on. You don't care about what's old or what happened last week or whatever. So if like people think, oh, okay, like I know the word coat. I don't need to learn that more. Give me a new word. And I say, no, maybe you don't know the word coat. So I could give you an example of a deeper, more advanced usage of it. And if you don't understand that, then it means you're not going deep enough. You don't really have a strong enough understanding. And you get this by just, again, spending more time getting input. So rather than speaking, get more input. So just like I show in that espresso video, I made that so people can see what it's like to get naturally varied review the same way natives do. You're seeing the same thing from different people, okay? You're learning the same way natives do. All right, so hello, Drew. I speak English, but it's difficult for me to translate. Could you please help? Help me, please. Yes, so the basic idea is that you should be learning English in English at your level. So you should understand at least 80 to 90% of what you're reading or watching or whatever. Hi, morning. I'm from Hong Kong. This is my first time to join your live. I do agree with your advice, how to learn fluent speaking. Yeah, so again, it's not new information. And it's not a special technique that only I know how to do. I mean, I think I'm the only person who really like spends a lot of time explaining to people how to do it, but it's the same way you learned your native language. So that's how we know it works. But you just learn English the same way. How can we, let's see, and Charlie says, will you focus on British English in the future? So what we do in Fluent for Life, we give you British English, Canadian English, American English, and even different places in America. So we cover all that in the program. So I don't have like, I mean, if you want to watch something like British English or whatever, if you need to improve your British English, you can listen to more examples of native speakers. So find something you're interested in, like growing roses or whatever. I'm like a gardener, so I naturally come up with these gardening examples. But whatever your thing is, it could be building ships or painting little models or something. But find British English speakers who are doing that, and then listen to their content and read the same things that they read. And you will naturally develop an understanding of that. Francis says, how can you get the insight about language teaching and learning? You mean like, how did I discover what I know about this? If that's what you mean, my very quick story is that for about 15 years, I struggled to learn different languages. And I lived in the United States, so I'm from Chicago, and I failed to learn Latin, and then I failed to learn French, and then I failed to learn Spanish. And even when I came to Japan, I lived in Japan for almost a year and still couldn't speak. And the reason is because I was still learning the traditional way. I was still trying to learn Japanese through English. And even after a year, I said, hey, I'm pretty smart. I should be able to figure this out. Why can't I speak? Even though I'm studying a lot, I'm not becoming a better speaker. And the problem was that I'm, again, using traditional methods and learning English through, or learning Japanese through English. So when I learn that way, I'm going to speak that way too. Remember, how you learn is how you speak. So if you learn through translations, you will speak through translations also. So what I saw one day while I was walking through a park, I was very frustrated and trying to think about why I was making these mistakes. And I just stopped and looked at some kids talking with their parents. And it just struck me, I understood very quickly, oh, these kids are not using English to learn Japanese. They're learning Japanese all in Japanese, and their parents are just giving them understandable messages. So in just a very simple way, I was able to see, oh, okay, if I do what those kids do, then I can start speaking like them. All right, so how you learn is how you speak. So instead of learning the traditional way with translations, you start learning everything all in the language you're studying. So if you want to become an English speaker, learn the same way native English speakers learn. It's really that simple. So hopefully I've understood that. If I did not, let me know. But that's basically the idea for how to get fluent. All right. Brittany says, my classmates are about to join here. I told them about you. Glad to hear. When you say classmates, are you like in college or high school or something? Let me know. Do you know about Remembering the Kanji by Heisig? Yes. I'm also learning Japanese and studying kanji with that book. Yeah, actually what I did, Heisig has the right idea about learning kanji, and it's interesting how it's organized. So how, like the way, like this is like a really funny thing about Japanese and organization. The kanji kanji for people that don't know Japanese, this is just the Chinese characters that are borrowed from China because Japan did not have its own language system. It had like spoken Japanese, but it did not have its own language system, so that was taken from China. And then this was turned into 3 different written languages. So kanji would be like, so here's like this is a combination of a kanji and a hiragana, so like iku, it means to go. And so when you're learning these things, the way they're taught in elementary school in Japan it's actually quite frustrating, I think, for kids, like because the order is not really helping you learn them in like a logical order of the kanji itself. It's more how frequently they're used, and so it's much easier. Like I took actually when I was learning more basic kanji, and now I'm trying to go up through the higher levels of kanji. And I'm trying to do that so I can, obviously for myself, learn the language, but also to teach my older daughter and my younger daughter too. So I want to be ahead of her for learning kanji. So I take like the whole year's worth of kanji. I think it's about 100 maybe something for elementary first years, and then you start getting more and more. So I took all the kanji and then reorganized them. So for example, like you would learn like a kanji. I don't think they teach it in this order, but you would learn this one. Like if I'm trying to study these myself, I would learn mon first, and then I learn like aida or kan, and then I'm learning kiku, to listen. So you're learning like all the various. That shouldn't be there. So you're learning like the various things in that. In an order that makes sense to you. So if you're using Heisig's book, his idea about learning them through understanding the story is a very good idea. So I recommend you do that. Again, Shem, I can understand American English, but British accent is hard. Can you suggest to me? Yeah, again, watch. So watch a video by an American English speaker talking about something, and then watch a British English speaker talking about the same thing. You can do this even with English lessons. I mean, if you want to just learn like an English lesson about things. So often many teachers will cover the same topic. So look for a topic in English if you just want to learn from clearer English speakers. Watch a couple of different people making a video about something. That's how you do it. Hello, sir. I'm from India. Thank you for your teaching. And Marion says to watch anime without subtitles. Yeah. So again, the point, like, I would watch it with Japanese subtitles if you want to do that. So I would do that. Charlie, again, thanks for your advice. Do you think that writing a journal every day for improving makes English fluent? It can help you review, sure. It's not a bad thing to do, but the best thing, the fastest thing, the best use of your time is to get more input. And then you can practice writing something down to make sure you really understand it. But also try using your own sentences. The reason I call it naturally varied review is because the varied part is important. We don't want to just repeat something. If you want to write something down, you could have a journal where you just practice a particular phrase, but you write it in different contexts or different grammar tenses, that kind of thing. So really play with the language. Abby again, Drew, you explained the concepts well. I have mastered my American English sounds. I can pronounce individual words well. How does one move to connected speech with linking and all? Any tips? Again, you will find this in Frederick. So we have sentences in the app as well. And also, as you just listen to people speaking, you will develop a natural sense for that. But it's helpful if you find particular things like a song or a speech and listen to different people talking about that. If you go to actually for talking about pronunciation, I just released a new article about pronunciation on my site. So if you go to EnglishAnyone.com, I don't have a link in this video, but if you go to EnglishAnyone.com and click on free lessons, it will be the top listed one there. So it talks all about pronunciation. Well, I'm studying at college. Okay, great. Yeah, so let other people know. And it's college where? You mean college in the United States or college in a different country? Learning English? All right, fantastic. I got through the comments. All right, the second thing, so we talked, we spent an hour, oh my goodness, talking about this. See how much time I have left. All right, I don't have a lot of time left because I answered a lot of questions. So we talked about depth in the first part of this video. Now I want to talk about precision. Precision. So precision, this is another test of your fluency. It's another measure of your fluency. And I'll do this very quickly. Let's see, time goes by really fast. Yes, it does. So when you're first learning something, and we can use native children as an example. So you have like and maybe don't, like, or you can say dislike. But typically when you're learning a new language, you have a very limited way to explain something where you, like, if I say, hey, do you like, I don't know, whatever, do you like pizza? So this is a common question in a Japanese classroom for Japanese kids learning English. Do you like pizza? And so they would ask each other, do you like pizza? And I can have them practice this, but a faster way for them to develop precision, and by precision I mean accuracy. So how well can they really explain their actual mood? Do you like something or do you not like something? Or there's a whole grade of liking from like love it to hate. And so there are lots of different words that we can use to describe all these things. And the goal of this video is not to give you a bunch of words and help you memorize all of these. The point is to listen to lots of examples about that. So if we hear people, if we pay attention when people are talking about liking something or not liking something, what are the different words we might mean? So if we say like, I really love something, like I love pizza, you might even say something like a more advanced phrase you would use for that would be something like I could die for X. I could die for some pizza. I could die for some pizza right now. I could die for some pizza right now. And the point, again, is not to memorize this. It's to recognize the vocabulary by understanding, oh, wow, the person is like really, really excited about something. And they're talking about like, yeah, I like this, but I really love this thing up here. Okay? So I could die for some pizza. Okay? Or you could go down to hate, and even a different word than hate, you might think like detest. Yeah, I really detest that. So I detest like people talking about things when they don't know what they're talking about. I detest that. It's just another word for hate. All right? Crazy for something, another good example. Crazy for, you could say crazy about, same idea. But again, the point is not to try to like get up like a phrase book and memorize all these. It's really to watch a bunch of people in this situation talking about if they like something or not. So do you prefer this? You could say I'm a fan of something. So to say you like something, like I'm a fan of something, and then we can make that even more precise. I'm a big fan of something. So I'm a fan is like here. I'm a big fan is up here. Okay? We don't really say I'm a small fan of something just because either you don't like it or you do. But yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah. Do you like tea? Yeah, I like tea a lot. I like tea a lot. All right? So the goal is like, I've been talking already about learning vocabulary, but this is really about being able to communicate in situations or to talk about situations. Okay? So can you talk about liking something or disliking something like a native? And this is what natives are doing. Very, very rarely do people just say like, I like something or I don't like something. Yes, I'm craving something. That's another idea. So I could really die for some. I could die for some cheesecake right now. Oh, I love some cheesecake. Please send me some cheesecake. All right. So I could die for some. I'm crazy about it. I love it so much. And when you listen to more people, if you really pay attention and you open your mind up to focusing on situations rather than trying to learn a translation of something. So I can do like a translation, like the translation for like in Japanese is like suki. Nankasuki. I like something. All right. But there are lots of different ways of describing things. And if you listen to Japanese people, like in my case as a Japanese learner, I'm hearing like mecha suki. Mecha. So it's like, oh, they're like even more excited. So I'm paying attention to what the person says. It's like, I like it. Oh, I really like that. So you're looking at their face. You're paying attention not just to the language, but the situation as everything. How they look, what they say. Okay? So the two things we talked about in this video, we're talking about the depth of vocabulary, the precision of vocabulary. How well can you communicate your thoughts and feelings about things? And this is just one example of that. All right? Let me answer a few more questions before I lose my voice. All right, Danielle says, Teacher Drew, I know a lot of words, expressions, phrasal verbs in English, but sometimes I see myself committing mistakes in very simple things. What can I do to fix that? All right, everybody should know the answer to this question, and it is spend more time with the stuff you make mistakes about. It's really that simple. So if I struggle, like whatever the particular English might be, like if I can't remember like have to, I'm not trying to memorize all of the uses of have. I want to get a lot of examples of have to. Man, I really have to go. I have to go. Bye. I have to go. So I have to. I must do something. And as you hear more examples of that thing, and not just one or two or 10, like 100 of them. Lots and lots of examples. And the reason we get so many examples is because it's not just about the words. We want to hear lots of different speakers talk about these same things. I want to hear like a woman from England. How does she say, have to? I have to do something. Or I have to, you know. I'm being a little bit funny. But again, when you hear different people saying these different things, it's helping you understand it and develop your own pronunciation. Okay? So we're hearing the grammar, we're learning the vocabulary. All of these things are done as a native would do them. All right? All right, let's see here. And then it says, Teacher, you have said that we could get deep in a topic to be fluent in a specific theme, but we will be fluent in the theme, or it will be fluent in different, but we will be fluent theme by theme, or it would be help be fluent in different topics. Okay, yes. So this is a thing that some learners worry about. They think, okay, if I focus on something, if I focus on this topic and I learn, I really learn this very well, what about like all the other topics? And the truth is that if you focus on this, it automatically makes you more fluent in other things as well. And the reason is because like the example of coat that I gave at the beginning of this, C-O-A-T, coat, the example I gave at the beginning of this video. So if I learn just one meaning of coat, like the coat that I have on my jacket, then I can only really talk about wearing a thick jacket. But if I hear a bunch of different usage, now I can talk about like the coating of chocolate on a cake, or the coating of paint on a car, or the coating of gold on a building like Kinkakuji, which is it's like a gold-covered building in Japan. Okay? So I'm able to talk about more things because I got more depth in the vocabulary. Now I talk about this idea in detail in my, what was that video? But it's got like 500,000 views now from maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's like how to speak fluently about almost anything. And the secret is really focusing on one thing that allows you to speak about lots of different topics. In that video, I talk about the word harsh. So my older daughter, Aria, we were walking to school and she asked me, what does harsh mean? So she heard that in a movie or something, or a TV show, and I said, where did you hear that? And she said, I heard it from this. And I asked, well, what was happening in the situation? So I'm trying to get her to think about when, what, why, what's the situation. And then I don't just give her a definition. I start giving her lots of examples. We could have like harsh sunshine out here. I really need some sunglasses because the sun is so harsh. Or I've got this new soap I'm trying. It's very harsh on my skin. And as I give her these examples, she's like, I understand. And maybe 2 days ago I said, hey, Aria, what does harsh mean? And she just said, difficult. It's basically what it means. But again, she's thinking about it like a native speaker. And I'm training her specifically to understand what these things are. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life. We give you lots and lots and lots of varied examples. So you're reading, writing, listening, speaking, even like along with the videos. But this is how you get fluent in the same way natives do. You don't have to live with an English speaker. You don't have to be living in an English-speaking country. You don't even have to speak. The point is just to get lots of this input. So even as you focus on something, it's expanding your vocabulary at the same time. So don't think or don't worry that, okay, if I really like study this word, then I'm like wasting my time and not studying other things. Because you know this well, you can use that vocabulary when you talk about other things. So if I focus on like one grammar point and I really understand that grammar point very well, then of course I can use that grammar point when I talk about other things. Okay? Make sense? All right. So I'm okay. In my opinion, maybe I skipped that. Okay, all right. So maybe, is that pum or fum kiat? In my opinion, from my learning experience, we just know the B parts of speech, and then we just put it in a position based on its function. Agreed? I don't know. Do you speak well? That's really the answer to that question. If what you do gets you fluent, then keep doing it. But if it's not getting you fluent, then you should do what I'm telling you to do, because this is how natives get fluent. Jose says, hola, I'm Brittany's classmate. I'm new here and my English is so basic. We are from Peru. Wow. You guys, well, I'm glad you're skipping class or whatever. Or are you like, you don't have class right now, you're just at home or something? But I'm glad to hear it. Learn English with Mada. Have students practice this technique when dishing on politics, especially regarding great practices and fun. Yeah. Glenna says, Drew, I often feel shy and nervous when I meet and speaking English with foreigners. I'm not confident enough to speak with them. What do you have to do to improve listening skills and speaking? Again, it's one answer. Isn't that great? It's one answer for all these questions. So the reason people don't have confidence is because they have doubts about vocabulary or grammar. So if you hear a word like like harsh in a situation like, wow, there are like harsh conditions. Harsh conditions in like a desert or something like that. If you just hear this is kind of a more advanced usage of it. I mean, harsh is, it's, the meaning doesn't really change. It means difficult. But if you just say, wow, it's really, or we are experiencing harsh weather. If you hear that, you're like, I don't really know what harsh means. And so you don't know if that's like a positive thing or a negative thing. And so the more you get examples of this, it's going to help you with your listening, your pronunciation, your grammar, your vocabulary, everything. So everything is improved as you focus on something more and more. So that's the answer to really every question that anyone asks about fluency. All right, only a few more minutes here. Let's see. I'm craving chocolate cake. Yes, chocolate cake would be great right now. Dennis says, thanks for your explanation. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure. Brittany, yes, we are from Peru. Actually, the teachers here teach using the traditional method. Yes, and again, I hate to laugh about that. It's typical. This is the way everyone teaches every language, so don't feel bad. This is not just English speakers. If I'm German trying to learn Thai, I'm probably going to learn Thai through German, and it's going to mess up my ability to learn. So basically I'm not familiar with any courses that actually teach the way I teach, certainly not in other languages. I have no idea. Sergio says, I'm Sergio from Peru. Yes, so more Peruvians are going to enjoy this now. South America, thanks for your explanation. You are the best. Glad to hear it. And let's see here. Guillermina, hello, I'm Brittany's classmate. As yes, we are pleased to meet you, teacher. I really like the way you speak. Glad to hear it. Yes, Brittany, get your whole school, or at least your whole class, all the people that are watching this. And if you don't get the live video, you can go back and watch all the other videos as well, and I will make this one available too. Little berries along the path. Nice to see you again. Yes, your teaching is absolutely focused on one point to help people eradicate the problem completely. Yes, that's the thing. You want to eradicate. That's a great word, to really destroy something to solve the problem completely. Cass says hello from Saudi Arabia. Nice to see you there. Francis again. Can I get your regular streaming schedule or is it random? I think I like my personal freedom. Maybe I'm like an American or something like that. I don't know, but I don't have a specific schedule for streaming, but I do make the videos available. Lately, I've been doing them maybe once or twice a week on Monday and Thursday, my time in Japan. I think probably next Monday I will not do one, but maybe a week from today I will. Actually, it's night here. Yeah, okay, I figured it was probably nighttime over there. So I meant the 8 parts of speech, like noun, verb, adjective, etc. Yes, if that's working for you, like some people, they like studying the language logically like that. Like, ooh, there are 8 parts of speech, and we can, do this and try to learn the language that way. But most people are not computers. Actually, none of us are. And so it's quite difficult for most people to learn the language that way and speak fluently. But if you are watching my videos, either you are a language teacher or you are a student who knows a lot of English but doesn't speak that well yet. So if you're already fluent, you should probably not be watching these videos. You should be watching something else. So if you're the kind of student that just wants to study, you want to try to memorize vocabulary or grammar, if that's helping you speak, then great. It's probably not helping you speak. I would probably say your language is, I don't know. I've not heard you speak before, but for most of the people I help, they know a lot, but they can't actually speak. And that's usually because they're trying to use traditional methods that don't, basically it teaches you the language, but it doesn't develop your fluency. Emmanuel says from the Congo, thanks for everything. I've been following since 2017. Glad to hear. How long do work a day? How long do work? You mean like how long do I work a day? Like for what I do? I don't know. Depends on the day. Some days I don't do much. Some days I'm inspired to do a lot. I'm my own boss, so I do what I want when I want. That's what I do. Brittany, yes, sure. I'll bring my whole college. Yes, bring the whole college. Actually, get everyone in Peru, not just your college. Get everyone in Peru. Everybody. I would like to go to Peru. It looks like a nice place. I was in Colombia a few years ago, so it's closer than Japan. No, I think what we can speak is what we should know how to form the sentence to write or speak. Again, like I don't want to argue with anybody. If you have a way of learning and that's working for you, then keep doing it. But what I do is just help people understand and use the language like a native speaker, because most people would have trouble following that method. If it works for you, then great, keep doing it. Otto says, in my case, it changed when I felt excited to speak with someone else and being listened. There is no right or wrong way when we are trying to communicate something. Cheers from Brazil. Yeah. So again, some people are, actually a lot of people are, they have trouble expressing themselves because they worry about making mistakes and that kind of thing. And so like if you're working at a company, there is a right and wrong way to communicate. So you can, it just depends on what your particular situation is. You are great. You are the boss. Yes, I am the boss of me. I'm my own boss. Let's see. So Annie says, sir, I saw your English lessons sell online. Can I buy directly in Japan? Because I will visit Osaka next week. Yes, it doesn't matter where you live. That's the great thing about online training. You can be in Japan or China or Taiwan or whatever. Yeah, I think we probably have a lot of Chinese students that use like VPNs, or people in like even like Russia or Ukraine right now, or like we still have people joining our programs. It's amazing. I still see like people in Ukraine and Russia joining programs, and like a lot of them are they're unable to use a lot of systems right now. But yeah. So if you look at the link in the description in this video, so right under this video, you will find the links to Frederick and to Fluent for Life. Brittany, come here to visit us someday. We have very delicious food. Yes, that sounds good. I would like to come down there. Yeah, I haven't been. Colombia was the last time I was in South America. So I understand your way, which is the best way to study by just adding my input to no part of speech. We can study English effectively. I am from Thailand. Yeah, I figured you were Thai from your name. I've been to Thailand as well. It's a lovely place. All right, let's see here. Well, now I'm officially out of time, but just to give a quick review, remember the idea is not to learn more vocabulary. The idea is really to go deeper and to become more precise with your language. Okay, so that's how you know, that's the real test of your fluency. It's not how many words you know, it's how well you can speak. So if you're not feeling fluent, you're not feeling confident, you feel like you're making mistakes, you have doubts in your mind about translations, or you have to organize sentences in your head, it just means you're trying to learn more, and typically you're doing this through your native language rather than learning it all in English the same way natives do. So if you'd like to learn more, just click on the links into the description to do that. Now you say I can understand good, but I cannot speak good. Yeah. So again, understanding comes first. You spend a lot of time doing that, and then speech will follow automatically, because when you understand, you can speak. All right. So keep practicing out there. Follow the links if you'd like to learn more. Even if you do not join Fluent for Life, click on the link in the description below the program to learn how it works, because it's taking a lot of the things I'm saying and it lays it out very simply. It makes it just nice and easy for people to understand what the problems are, what you need to do to speak fluently, and you can do it by yourself. I just make it a lot easier and much faster if you do it with me, and that's the value of having a guide like me to show you what to do. All right, so you can do it by yourself. That's how I did it in Japanese, but it is possible. All right, thank you, Master Shifu. Well, on that note, we will say goodbye, but thank you to everyone. So do click on the links in the description if you'd like to learn more. Let's see, Canadian Linguistico says, accumulate words is the most important thing in learning English. What do you think? Well, again, Kaufman, I've never spoken with Kaufman, and I think he speaks a couple of different languages, so maybe I think he speaks more than I do, which is great. But I would be more clear for students that like the goal is not to learn more words, it's to get like deeper understandings of words. And it's the same thing. You're developing your ability to use words rather than trying to learn a bunch of words that you don't remember. All right, so you don't want to accumulate words. There's lots of students who are doing that already, and they still can't speak. So even without asking me as a teacher or someone who speaks different languages or whatever, you should just ask yourself, think to yourself, is what I'm doing working for me? So I'm doing something to learn. Is it helping me speak? If not, then stop doing it. But if you want to try something different, like what I'm recommending, like do this and I guarantee you will become a better speaker because it's how you got fluent in your native language. You didn't just learn a bunch of different words, you really got good understanding. And as you do this, you're also getting a larger vocabulary as well. Well, Elena right there at the end with the konnichiwa. Now it's sayonara, mata ne, bye-bye. All right, so have a fantastic day. Remember, think about what you're doing. If it's helping you, great, keep doing it. If not, give this a try. Bye-bye.